From Raymond James Stadium, it is time for Gametime Live, presented by Verizon, the fourth and final preseason game of the year. The Redskins visiting Tampa Bay. The Skins are 3-0, and Tampa Bay 1-2. There you see quarterback Pat White, who is scheduled to go all the way for the Redskins. No, we will not see Robert Griffin III, nor will we see Kirk Cousins. In fact, the Redskins will rest their entire starting unit. You will see some of the regulars out there tonight, but all eyes are going to be after the game, I think, when Mike Shanahan will be discussing the status of Robert Griffin III. Hi again, everybody. I'm Larry Michael. It's great to be with you. Cloud cover here tonight. We expect maybe a possibility of rain, 30% chance. Temperatures in the 80s as the Redskins wrap up the preseason, the 13th overall meeting between the Redskins and Buccaneers in the preseason. Last year here at Raymond James Stadium on September the 30th, Redskins victorious 24-22 over Tampa Bay. The Redskins obviously went on to the playoffs. Tampa Bay finished 7-9. So let's check out the field right now as the Redskins go through some early warm-ups and welcome Brian Tinsman from Redskins.com with us. Kind of an odd type of game. You're not going to see the starters. You're not going to, a lot of thoughts about what's going to happen with Robert Griffin III. We saw Dr. James Andrews out here earlier. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as we talked earlier on the radio, there are still some jobs up for grabs, and starting off the quarterback position, Pat White, he's been impressive. He could help his chances a lot with a good performance tonight.
Well, he can help his chances one way or the other, because whether or not the Redskins are able to keep him, on the roster at the end of this on Saturday evening, it's one thing. But, he has played to this point well enough that you would imagine that he could find an NFL job on another team if he goes out and has a solid performance over 60 minutes tonight.
Coach Shanahan said that Pat White would play the entire game. If he were to go down, it would be Rex Grossman. And if Rex Grossman were to go down, it would be Mike Shanahan stepping in, he said jokingly. But you look at this roster, Brian, and again, you look at some of the keys to what's going to be successful for the Redskins this year. They have depth, and that's what's going to come down on Saturday. They're going to have to cut some good players. Some of the players cut by the Redskins will be picked up by other teams, and so this roster has improved.
Absolutely, and when Shanahan, when he talked about this earlier this week, he said that you really want the tough decisions. The coaches are really excited not to have to cut 22 reasonably talented players, but just that there are tough decisions. When Shanahan started here in 2010, they were cutting players out of training camp that weren't landing anywhere. They were cutting players in the season and replacing them with other players that weren't landing anywhere. There's a fair number of players that are going to be cut on Saturday night that, as you mentioned, are going to have an opportunity either on the practice squad here or on another team's roster.
Again, cloud cover here, and we do expect some showers this evening here in Tampa Bay. Redskins got to Tampa yesterday afternoon. On Wednesday afternoon, we'll depart after this game for Redskins Park, then back to work for the Skins in earnest for the season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles Monday night, September the 9th. In fact, every NFL team is playing tonight. The schedule is finally becoming consistent, and we'll kick it off next weekend for the 2013 season. Tampa Bay, not a good team right now.
No, and there is a little bit of concern that really the Redskins, I think the Steelers are always a quality team, but, they didn't play any team this preseason that had a winning record last year. So, have they gotten a real test yet? Probably not, but I don't really think that that's what the preseason's about. It's really about getting your own guys in sync with one another. And so, the competition tonight probably will not be that impressive on the scoreboard. There is unlikely to be a hotly contested game tonight, even with most of the starters out of the lineup. But, this is really a great opportunity for, as you mentioned, those bottom guys, those bubble guys on the roster to really show that they deserve a spot on this team. And for those other couple starters, Josh Wilson, Josh Morgan, Chris Baker's going to play tonight. Those guys need to get in sync with the rest of their unit before the start of the season. And this is really a good time for them to really put the finishing touches on their preseason work.
And as we've said throughout the preseason, you don't want to see any injuries here, especially in the final preseason game of the year. I guess you could say this is the most meaningless of the four preseason games, but tell that to Sky Dawson right in front of us. Tell that to some of these other guys warming up out here. Alex, if you could swing your camera way left here on the sideline, you see number 46, Alfred Morris. You see his demeanor on the sideline right now as the Redskins starters will not play tonight. Alfred Morris of the Redskins running game, number one in the NFL last year, number one in preseason this year. They're averaging 4.9 a carry, so that again is going to be one of the strengths of this football team.
Yeah, I think, especially with any uncertainty that they may have at quarterback or wanting to work Robert and Kirk back into the offense slowly, I think that you really have to lean on a guy like Alfred Morris. And you're absolutely right. Last week they had 48 carries in that preseason game. They had 81 total snaps, so they're running more than half their plays. Of course, now that was a bit of a blowout game, but they got a good look at all their running backs. And, there's still some competition to be had there tonight. So that should be an interesting area to watch, probably more interesting than what will be going on in the passing game. And you're right, that is a staple of the offense. A lot of the attention was given to Robert last year. But when you have the number one rushing attack in the NFL and you get better with an addition like Roy Halou Jr., you bring back Terrell Young, you keep that offensive line intact, they really have a lot of opportunity to take a step forward in the running game this year and really be kind of a dynamite force there.
A couple of programming notes as you are watching Game Time Live, presented by Verizon. Larry Michael and Brian Tinsman on Redskins.com, coming back after a brief hiatus this Thursday, a week from today. It is This Week at the Park. It's going to be a new-look show. Brian Tinsman will be at the helm. He seems a little bit nervous about the opportunity, but tell us why folks should tune in to Redskins.com on Thursdays at 4 o'clock for This Week at the Park.
Well, I mean, this is really your best in-depth look with some of the experts that are covering the team every day. You've got the guys from CSN and 980 that do a great job covering the team that are there to provide, another voice in addition to that I have provided in the past, some of the guys from Son of Washington as well. So this is really an opportunity to keep up with the team. This is, Thursday's a big day each week during the regular season. That's when we hear from the coordinators. It's a day after we hear from Robert or a lot of the starters in the locker room leading into that week's game. So Thursday's a big day in terms of news. We're there to cover it all.
That's This Week at the Park on Thursdays all through the season, kicking off this Thursday, September 5th on Redskins.com. Big surprise, I will be joining the panel for This Week at the Park. Now, coming up on Tuesday, now follow me here, folks, Tuesday, September the 10th, it is the Monday morning recap. Now, what sense that makes? Well, every Monday after a Redskins Sunday game, 9 o'clock, it's going to be Chris Russell, joined by number 47, Chris Cooley. The debut of that show will come after the Monday night game, Tuesday, September the 10th at 9 a.m. We're looking forward to that as well. As the Redskins warm up, you look around the stadium, and you might wonder down here in Tampa, so much to do, such a beautiful city. Is anyone going to be here tonight?
I think last year the attendance for a Week 4 game, early in the season, both teams very much alive, probably about 65,000 people. So, they do have attendance problems. They've had blackouts a lot here in the last couple seasons. And, this is a team that has struggled a lot, really, even since before Gruden left, and that was a few years ago. So, will we see a packed house here tonight, especially with the weather the way it is? Probably not. But I would expect to see quite a few Redskins fans here. We were downtown earlier, seeing some of the rally bars that we visited last year. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Redskins fans.
Well, check it out. Let's ask Alex. Let's ask Alex Diamond, our cameraman, to just take a shot. Here come. They've opened the doors here. It is a Redskins crowd, isn't it? Look at this. You got number 10s. You got a 21 there in honor of Sean Taylor. I mean, this will be a pro Redskins crowd. And last year when the Redskins won here on September the 30th, there were a lot of Redskins fans here on that occasion. Brian Tinsman, we'll check him out on Redskins.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, you're watching Game Time Live, presented by Verizon. We are at Raymond James Stadium. Just a quick look at some of the Redskins fans. The action on the field, obviously, is the Redskins warming up. And we're going to welcome in Brian Gleason, Redskins.com as well. And, Brian, you take a look at the field here today, and you got a lot of names for the Redskins who will not be playing, but you got a lot of guys for the Redskins who are going to try to compete for that final roster spot, maybe the 4th running back, maybe the 6th wide receiver, maybe the 9th offensive lineman. It will be a game of numbers after this game is over.
Oh, that's correct. And I believe that, there's a lot of positions that are there's so much depth, and as you and Brian mentioned earlier, there's a lot of talent there as well. So, you look at the tight ends. There's a lot of tight ends out there. How are they going to be able to fill in other positions? Is the fullback going to be a position where some of these guys are going to have to be able to play multi positions? Yep. Again, Pat White is out here, going to have the show in his hands. Is it something that he's really going to do for the Redskins, or is it something that it's just a highlight tape for someone else? So, and I think the defense as well is there's a lot of guys out there who need to show what they got, and if they don't show what they got today, then it's a final tryout for them. So, I think that's where they're at.
Secondary position is a position we've really concentrated on for the Redskins over the last several months. Everybody thought the Redskins needed to improve that secondary, and they went and got David Emerson, Philip Thomas, also Bakari Rambo, of course, Philip Thomas, lost for the year, and that kind of settles some things. And added that to the fact that Richard Crawford got banged up and he's out for the year. That could open the door for someone on offense like Chris Thompson, who's going to be the punt returner for this team this year. We don't know right now.
That's correct. They really are, so many different versatile players out there where they can really make adjustments and step up into spots where they may not have thought that's why they were here. And, there's a lot of stuff. And then as everybody remembers, Brandon Merriweather, that is a big spotlight today. He will be back on the field for the first time, and we'll see what he's got. And can he stay healthy? There's all those questions out there. But I think if he can stay healthy and, he does what was brought here to do, then there's a solid core in the defensive back zone where we may not have had that before. So.
Right in front of us is Jordan Reed, the rookie tight end out of Florida, and he's looking a little bit better each and every game, getting his feet on the ground. And you know what? He's got a guy like Niles Paul. You got Fred Davis. You got Logan Paulson. I think we're going to see all the tight ends tonight. And you mentioned something, Brian Gleason, earlier. Maybe we see somebody else at fullback. I think we'll see Niles Paul at fullback as you're looking for that versatility. And if you can play more than one position, you're in pretty good shape.
Oh, yeah. I think we talked to Niles a little bit earlier this week, and he'd mentioned that we do think we might see him out there at fullback. So, a player like that where you have a Logan Paulson, you have a Fred Davis already there, you have to adjust, and you have to be able to make those kinds of step-ups to where you can become in fill position that, they don't necessarily have, a full depth in, and they create that depth. So I think that's a great athletic ability and mindset to be able to switch from those positions. They are very similar. However, it's a different kind of blocking when you're running rather than them having them being right up on the line with you. So it's a great adjustment, and I'm sure someone's going to show that they've got what it takes to fill those positions.
It's Game Time Live presented by Verizon. We're at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, and kickoff at 7:30. And normally we see more players on the field warming up before a game. Maybe it's the fact that neither team will play their starters. At least we've heard that Tampa might play a few of their starters. The Redskins won't play any of their starters, except maybe the tight end Fred Davis. We heard he could get out there. But I think you look at this game like this tonight with Tampa Bay and the Redskins, you got to get down to 53 on August the 31st. But it doesn't end there because you'll see other teams jockeying for players that will let go. And until the Redskins go to practice next Wednesday in earnest on the 4th of September, that 53-man roster, you might still see some changes.
Oh, and I think that the week leading up to the opening kickoff is, there's going to be a lot of eyes not only just on who we let go, but also other teams, who they let go and who's out there and who are in similar situations where they have a lot of talented guys that maybe they fill a need in another team. So I think Wednesday and I think even Thursday, Friday leading up to it, they have that, eye out on what's out in the league and seeing who's available.
Of course, a lot of connections between the Redskins and Tampa Bay Bucks. Bruce Allen, Redskins general manager, was with Tampa Bay 2004 through 2008. Raheem Morris was the head coach for Tampa Bay 2009 through 2011. A lot of familiarity between these two teams. They played last year on September 30th, and who could forget that oddball weird collision between Aldrick Robinson and Brandon Merriweather in the end zone to our right. Both guys lost for the game. Merriweather lost for several weeks, and they have kept those guys away from each other here today.
Yeah, I don't even think they're going to be stepping on the same side of the field here today. As you mentioned, these guys aren't even on the, a lot of them haven't even made it out of the field as much as we would normally see. So, I don't even think their lockers are even close to each other today. So hopefully, we keep everybody safe and, Merriweather can come out and have a healthy and solid performance today.
All right, our thanks to Brian Gleason from Redskins.com for stopping by. Again, you're watching Game Time Live, presented by Verizon. I'm Larry Michael here at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. A lot to look forward to this year from the Redskins on the broadcast side, also on Redskins.com. If you plan on coming to a Redskin game this year at FedEx Field, a new feature at halftime. It's going to be a live halftime report from the field at FedEx Field. It'll be hosted by Lou Holder and Doc Walker. That's worth looking into on a game day. each Redskins game day, beginning on Monday night, September the 9th in the opener, as it's the Philadelphia Eagles visiting the Washington Redskins. I know our crew is happy with the cloud cover for now, and we have not felt any rain so far here at Raymond James Stadium. The forecast tonight, 30% chance of showers and temperatures in the 80s as the Redskins take on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay going to open with the New York Jets on the road. Commenting earlier, the fact going to the New York Jets, you might have a crowd there that is booing their home team prior to the opponent taking the field. It is that bad for the New York Jets right now, no doubt about that. So that's the story here, and we're going to wrap it up this edition of Game Time Live, presented by Verizon. Kickoff at 7:30, and as we come to you live, we're a little more than an hour away from kickoff. Not a lot of players have come out for the warm-ups. The warm-ups will begin in earnest in just a few moments, but take a look at Jordan Reed right here, Alex Diamond, our illustrious cameraman. This is a game where you could really see Jordan Reed shine. We've seen glimpses of Jordan Reed over the last couple of games. He's done a little bit better along the way. Hasn't played a lot, but this could be a night for him to shine. And then you see the Redskins starting offensive line on the bench. You see Chris Chester, Will Montgomery, Corey Lichtensteiger on the Redskins bench. We will not be seeing them in this ball game. Chris Furster, the offensive line coach, giving them the business, telling them, fellas, you better be ready. I might have asked you to put your pads on after all. All right, Alex, let's get off this shot. I think we have a little traffic in front of us. And get back to the playing field. I thought maybe the police officer might be arresting our cameraman, Alex Diamond, there. I don't know. He had an angry look on his face there, Alex. In any event, that's going to do it for this edition of Game Time Live, presented by Verizon. Don't forget to check us out on the radio, ESPN980.com, the play-by-play call starting at 7:30. And check out Redskins.com for the video, the blogs. We're tweeting day and night. Got all kinds of social media coming your way. It should be a great year, 2013, for the Redskins. Until next time, I'm Larry Michael. Thanks for watching Game Time Live, presented by Verizon.